to the Sports on Prime. I'm Gary Al Smith. Today we have news from the 2018 African Women Cup of Nations that will happen in November. Also, Morocco have officially put in their bid to host the World Cup, and we do some transfer news, but the latest you should expect. My name is Gary Al Smith. First of all, we begin in Ghana, and the local organizing committee chairperson for the Women's AFCON is Frida Prempeh. She's calling for corporate support.
Well, what I will tell corporate Ghana that we've got to be proud of our own. This is Women African Cup of Nations, women of the African continent. We all can do it. It's not only women who can do it. We need their support. So I entreat them, I encourage them to come on board to support the local organizing committee to enable us organize a fantastic, wonderful, successful tournament, lift high the flag of Ghana and make women proud. So we need their support.
Do they stand to benefit anything?
Definitely. Corporate Ghana knows very well that you will not support such a tournament without any benefit. So we have put together all that is necessary to ensure that they get their part of the soup. So they should come on board to support the local organizing committee. I'm calling on all corporate institutions, individuals, philanthropists, former football players. They should all come on board to support us. This is the first time Ghana is hosting an all-African women's tournament, and we have to do it and do it right. The government cannot shoulder it all alone. So we need your support. Come on board. Let's lift high the flag of Ghana and make women proud.
Morocco have just launched their bid to host the prestigious 2026 World Cup.
Morocco launched its campaign to host the 2026 World Cup today, doing so in Casablanca. The North African nation faces competition from a joint bid proposed by Canada, Mexico and the USA. The decision on who will host the 2026 tournament will be made in June. Now, Morocco has failed in 4 previous World Cup attempts, the last of which was for the 2010 finals, which were hosted by South Africa, as the continent staged the World Cup for the only time in its history. At today's launch bid, Chairman Moulay Hafid El Alami said, "We promise to stage a tournament overflowing with real passion and to celebrate the values of unity and peace. A World Cup in Morocco will deliver commercial success and leave a long-lasting legacy. If we win, we believe the winners will be football, the young people of our nation, Africa and the world." Now, no details were given about the various host cities, even though the vote to determine the host is less than 5 months away, and the deadline for the submission of their bid proposal is looming in March. Morocco will need over half the votes of FIFA's 211 member associations if it is to win, and Football Federation President Fawzi Lekja is confident he can deliver at least 54 votes, namely the ones from Africa itself.
I had a chance to communicate with members of the Confederation of African Football and each member association president, and my firm conviction is they will carry the Moroccan candidacy toward the right track.
The transfer window has been pretty interesting, a bit more interesting than normal this winter edition, because lots of people say it's the World Cup year. And clubs don't want players they are looking out for, especially the world-class talent, to have inflated prices, or for the clubs that are selling for their players to devalue after the global showpiece. So we've seen so many players head to different clubs. One of those we are looking forward to is Edin Dzeko to Chelsea, whether it will happen or not. Joining us is Carlo Garganese. He's the head of global features for Goal.com International, and he joins us to look at all things transfers in Europe. Thank you, Carlo, for your time.
Hello, Gary. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. So let's begin in Italy, where you are. You really specialize in. What is the deal with Edin Dzeko? What's the latest for Chelsea fans?
Well, I think it will happen. The two clubs are negotiating. Chelsea have already pretty much sealed a deal for Emerson, the left back, and they're now trying to tie up a deal for Dzeko at all in what will be a combined deal for around about 50 million to 60 million euros. So a lot of money. I think it will happen.
What kind of player is Emerson?
Emerson, well, last season he's a left back, and last season he was one of the best players in Serie A, definitely in his position. He's an attacking left back. He's very quick, athletic. He's got a good cross on him. The only concern is that he damaged his cruciate ligament at the end of last season, and this season he only returned in December, and he's only played 2 games. So the concern for Chelsea fans is, will he fully recover from that cruciate ligament injury? But if he does, I think he'll be a very good signing for Chelsea.
I mean, for a lot of Chelsea fans or Premier League fans who don't watch Serie A, if you will liken Emerson to anybody from the past or someone more recognizable, who would it be?
Ooh, I think he's quite similar to Alex Sandro in style, who's actually the Juventus left back, who actually Chelsea. He was their primary transfer target in the summer for left back. He's not as good as Alex Sandro, not as experienced or proven, but in terms of his style, he likes to get forward, overlapping runs down the left-hand side. He's similar in style to Alex Sandro.
Okay. Now, in terms of Edin Dzeko, back to that one, I was monitoring your tweet, and you had some interesting views on why he would be sold from his Italian club. Tell us a bit more about that.
About Dzeko?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm very surprised, to be honest with you. I think it's very, very risky from Roma. In the mid-season, Roma are fighting for 4th place in Serie A. He's scored so many goals in the last 18 months, and he's such an established figure, such an important player of their team. From a financial point of view, I can understand it. He's going to turn 32 soon, and if you're looking at kind of 25, 30 million euros for someone who's about to turn 32, that's good money. The problem is, who replaces him for Roma? As I understand it at the moment, the most likely scenario is that if they do sign someone, it will be someone on loan, and they're probably more likely to play their reserve striker, Patrick Schick, who is an excellent talent, outstanding young talent, but he's very young and inexperienced, and he hasn't scored a goal this season. So to pin your hopes on a young player who hasn't scored to replace such an important player as Dzeko, I think it's very, very risky from Roma.
Yeah, indeed. But for Chelsea fans, what do they get? Because, I mean, let's not forget, in the past week, there have been absolutely amazing links with Peter Crouch and Andy Carroll. Is it the target man they are looking for?
Well, certainly out of all the players that Chelsea have been looking for and all of the players that they've been linked to, he's certainly the best option. He's probably only a short-term option. As I said, he's going to turn 32. But I think he's exactly the kind of striker that Chelsea need. They need a penalty box striker. They need someone that's physical, can hold the ball up, can play with his back to goal and can finish. Alvaro Morata, I think, is a fantastic player. I'm a big fan of him. But he needs to play with the play in front of him, and he struggles somewhat when there isn't the space and when defenders and defences defend deep. So I think Dzeko will provide exactly what Chelsea have been missing this season.
There's a lot of interest in the Premier League, obviously, because some very big players and moves have been done. But over in Italy, if you will give us a scoop as to at least 3 players we should be looking out for in this transfer window, who clubs should be looking out for or to buy, who would they be, Carlo?
Well, there's plenty of players who they should be looking to buy. Out of those who will actually move, I think Serie A has been reasonably quiet, with the exception of those 2 transfers we've just talked about, Emerson and Dzeko. There isn't really anything massive happening. There's Stefan de Vrij of Lazio, who I think is one of the better defenders in Europe. His contract expires at the end of the season, and he still hasn't signed a new contract. And there's a lot of big clubs around Europe who are looking at him. In Italy, Inter and Juventus. Outside of Italy, Liverpool, even Barcelona. He's someone that I think a lot of clubs would love to sign. I think probably what will end up happening with him is he'll sign a new contract with a reasonably low release clause, and I could see one of the bigger European clubs buying him. So he's one. In terms of this window, I think João Mario, who won Euro 2016, Portuguese midfielder, Yeah, he needs to move to a new club in order to play regular football so that he can get into Portugal's World Cup squad, or rather their team. I think I can see him coming to the Premier League. He's a good player technically, keeps the ball well, but he's just had a disastrous time at Inter. Yeah. He's been an absolute disaster there. But hopefully he can resurrect his career in the Premier League, probably with a temporary loan move. I think they're in negotiations with West Ham at the moment. So that is one that I can see potentially happening.
Fantastic. So, final question though. The big move in the last 24 hours has been that swap deal between Man United and Arsenal of Alexis and Mkhitaryan. The question everybody is asking is, who got the better deal?
Who got the better deal? Well, I think at the moment, probably Manchester United. I mean, they've signed a world-class player for nothing. Well, in terms of a transfer fee for nothing. Obviously, they're paying astronomical wages. But, they're the richest club in the world. Deloitte today, they put out their annual rich list.
£581 million.
There you go, yeah. So they can afford it. So that's no issue to them. They've got a world-class player, and he's going to, improve Manchester United massively. As for Arsenal, I think it all depends really whether they sign Aubameyang from Dortmund. I think if Arsenal sign Aubameyang before the end of the window, then probably they actually, strangely enough, end the transfer window with a stronger team and in a stronger position than they begun the window. So I think it's very, very possible that come January the 31st, that both Arsenal and Manchester United will end this window as winners.
Right. Carlo Gaganese, many, many thanks.
Thank you, Gary. Pleasure.
He's the global head of features for Goal.com International, and you can follow him on Twitter at Carlo Gaganese. My name is Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport for now. I'm back at 10:30 for the football show, where we talk more transfers.